just like a lot of people like passing out like from their BTech degree not in computer science and doesn't have a clue. So when I passed out, I didn't have a clue what to do next because I was not much interested in electronics. See, hey, I can understand if somebody says that he is not able to understand DSA. Okay, I'm one of those person. Maybe I don't have a clue regarding the hard problems in lead code. You have to set your goals.
Hey data aspirants, this is Mansa Nagraj from TrendyTech. In this session, we would be in conversation with a seasoned, knowledgeable, and an expert data engineer who has worked in different domains like retail, banking, healthcare. In his professional journey, he has had the opportunity to work with several companies like Infosys, Accenture, NHS, and now working as a senior data engineer at Expedia Groups. This session is specially for those enthusiasts who are looking for opportunities internationally. Watch until the end to know how Didhin made his way from being an analyst to a senior data engineer at Expedia Group's London. Hi Didhin, a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. And I really appreciate your efforts to come up and share your experiences that will be helping a lot of data enthusiasts, our audience. So, firstly, I would request you to give a brief introduction about your educational qualification and as well as the work experience.
Thank you. Thanks, Manasa. So first of all, I just want to thank you and TrendyTech for giving me this platform to talk about this stuff. So I'm really glad. So for me, I am a 2017 BTech graduate with on electronics and communication. So, and now I've been working in data in and around data field for around 5+ years. So I've been working in service sector companies for most of my career. Then I made a switch to some of the like product companies in UK. So for me, I've had the chance to work in retail, telecommunications, banking, health, and now in ad tech industry. Yeah, so that'll be me.
Nice, yeah. So, you pursued your education in India or you did your master's in UK or?
Yeah, so no, I just did my BTech in India. So I'm from a tier 3 college in a self-financing college in Kerala, which is south of India. So yeah, so from there I got a campus placement and I went into Infosys, which is my first company. So from there I just spent like around 4 years there. Then as a part of on-site program, so they sent me to UK. From there I had the opportunity to switch. Yeah.
Nice. That was a real good opportunity in your initial stages of your career itself, right? Having worked in companies like, as you highlighted, Infosys, Accenture, and NHS in the past, and currently with Expedia as a data engineer. So, how has these experiences helped you in gaining the necessary knowledge to pave a successful career path?
Yeah, so for me, I was lucky enough for to get into big data like pretty early into my career. So when I just joined in Infosys, I had an opportunity after 6 months down the line. I had got an opportunity to work in big data. So this gave me actually worked in hand with the expanding technology, which was big data at that time. So there, I had the opportunity to work with Hadoop, which was the first version, the beginning version. So I really understood the MapReduce phase of it, the Hadoop phase of it, and I could see the beginning. Then I was able to go into the next level, which is the Spark distributed processing engine, and which so and into the proper scheduler airflow thing, the full-fledged system. Like most of the companies hadn't at that time were not into big data, so it was the transitioning time. So I was able to understand how the systems were actually migrated from the base from the in-house systems to cloud-based or native distributed processing. So that was very lucky for me. Yeah. So I'll say from there, the journey was actually of upscaling. So under each as I move into each project, it was like I'll be learning something new. So for example, I'll be learning a bit of the GUA based distributed processing on different programming levels, a bit on SQL based, a bit on Python based. So, but it all helped me. And when I talk about NHS, like it was the last company that I worked on, I got an immense experience in actually talking to the business. But the first 3 or 4 years of my career was a bit more on the technical. So last 1.5 years, I really had the experience to talk data to the business people and how it impact the business, how we can get money, how we can leverage money, revenue out of it, how we can save money for the company. So these kind of things. So it has been very good.
Yeah, that's really excellent. The exposure that you have received from the technical point of view and also the business knowledge is very much necessary to solve any given problem, right? Especially the business domain knowledge is required. So that's excellent, Didhin. Well, as you mentioned that you have previously worked with Infosys, and I've gone through your LinkedIn profile as well. So, could you throw some light on your experience while you were transitioned from being a system engineer to a specialist programmer in big data as in Infosys? Like, how has this transition been from a system engineer to a big data specialist programmer?
Yeah, so this is what I wanted to talk a bit more about, in the sense that just like a lot of people like passing out like from their BTech degree, not in computer science, and doesn't have a clue. So when I passed out, I didn't have a clue what to do next, because I was not much interested in electronics. So that's when Infosys gave me a chance. But as you know, Infosys is such a big company. It's difficult for you to get noticed, to get into the right projects. So even though they give a lot of opportunities, but since the size, due to the massive size of the company, it is a bit difficult. So that's when I learned about the specialist programmer track. So it is a STG. It's called a strategic group. So they say we have to write some exams and some interviews internally to get into this group, niche group, where we can actually work on like cutting edge projects or new end projects. So I had this opportunity to appear for this exam and crack it, and I got into this. So which actually gave me a very good exposure to the cutting edge big data technologies like Spark. At that time, it was Spark, Airflow. So I had to spend some time to crack this. It was it was not that easy for me to do it, because I was from an electronics like field and not much into programming, but it's doable. So in 2 or 3 or 4 months, I was able to do it. And so this specialist programmer track actually put me into good projects, like the projects which actually matters in big data, matters in the sense like in the big data field of things, where we are actually doing processing which can save money to the company, to generate revenue properly. So this has been a big push for me.
Right, nice. That's. It seems like as if you were in the right place at the right moment in the initial stages of the big data field as well. And yeah, that's excellent, Didhin. And also, you got an exposure, even though you were from a non-IT background, you got an exposure to get into really, like good challenging projects as well. That's excellent.
So in that case, actually, Infosys has been really helpful for me, actually. So there was no discrimination. Nobody told me like, you are not from IT, you can't do this. So it was always welcome there. So
That's a very good culture in Infosys. I really appreciate that. So, the next thing that I would like to understand from you is I see that throughout your professional career, you have been working majorly on data. So, what made you want to upskill yourself with the big data technologies in spite of having extensive knowledge in with data?
So that's a very relevant question for me personally, because as you know, I've been working in data for a long time, and I have like 5 or 6 clients which I've worked on in data. But even though we are working, we will be a part of a bigger organization. So you won't get to work on the end-to-end pipelines or end-to-end life cycle of data. So you normally work on a single tool, or either on Airflow or maybe on a distributed processing like Spark. So I've always felt like I've been missing something. So like some maybe on the modeling side, or maybe on the programming side, or maybe on the scheduler or the observability side. So there are a lot of things actually in the so if you want to be a complete end-to-end data engineer, you have to cover these topics. So by 3 or 4 years of experience, I understood that you need these things to be a complete data engineer, and I was missing some things. So this is where I wanted to like complete this journey by looking into all these other tools. So that's where I just looked for a good course in LinkedIn. Basically, it was in LinkedIn. So that's where I actually come across TrendyTech, and yeah, it was I felt like it was the best in the market at that time. I believe it still is. I don't know, because it's been an year. So at that time, yeah, the people that I followed in data, like Shashank Misra, maybe Riddhi Datta, they were all recommending Sumit sir's course. So I followed him in a bit extensive research on LinkedIn, and that's when I just found out this course. Yeah. So.
As you mentioned already that you kind of went through the Big Data Masters program by Sumit sir. So how did the course help you in gaining the necessary knowledge that you felt was missing at that point in time? How did it help you in filling that knowledge gap that you had?
Got it. So even though I went to look for a couple of things, so Big Data Masters program by Sumit sir, it had a lot of things actually. So I understand that I was missing even more things as well. So I was able to learn more on Scala side, a deeper understanding of Scala, a deeper understanding of stream processing. Even though I had the opportunity to work in stream processing, the understanding that I got from it was very limited. So I had to really explore the possibilities of real-time processing as well. So this course actually gave me a more understanding on real-time processing and also on Apache Airflow. So in Airflow, we were actually working just on the scheduling part of it. So the inside mechanics of the Airflow, I was able to understand a bit more from the course. Yeah, so this was the main things here.
Basically, you got to learn more than what you had expected. Well, so as per your experience, I see a lot of people a lot of learners who are wanting to get into the cloud-based way of handling big data. So, as per your experience, why is it important to have an in-depth expert knowledge in distributed framework before going ahead with cloud services, understanding cloud services? If you can throw some light there.
Yeah, so for I can talk about this in two areas. The one vertically will be like, it is very imperative that we know distributed processing, because even though when we are working with data, for every company the data is growing exponential. So one time, or maybe today or maybe tomorrow or maybe in 6 months time, you are going to get exposure to some kind of a challenge which will require some your distributed processing knowledge. So how to create pipelines, like, so even though you are using GUI based things, or maybe even though you might not be using Spark all the time, but the inside engine might be using Spark. For example, like if you can go talk about Talent or something, like which is a GUI tool, but still it uses Spark inside. So if you know actually the dynamics of Spark there, so you can actually create better GUI-based pipelines or engines. So which will actually save a lot of time on which we can use to create advanced or better pipelines, more efficient pipelines. Or another vertical I can talk about. See, as far as I've seen, even in UK, this is the time actually a lot of the companies are actually doing the migration. So from their own in-house, their own infrastructures to the cloud or to the distributed processing. So this here actually, so if you are a normal engineer with just GUI experience, you can maybe be able to do the lift and shift. Okay, of get the data from the normal architecture to the cloud. But if you have a good grasp of the distributed processing, you can actually redefine their pipelines and actually help them generate more value and more efficiency. So in this way, you can actually understand the mechanism of data and mechanism of partitions, bucketing. So you can actually understand how the parallel processing can help in making the pipelines a lot faster and things. So, and understand a lot of the inside mechanism of data, like skewness and stuff, like how can we remove these. So these insides little things which will actually help in making your pipelines very efficient, and in turn which can actually help you become a very successful engineer and very valuable in your company. Yeah, so these are the main two things which I say.
Right, that was a great insight, and the point that you put there, excellent. I truly agree with that. It's important that you should be aware of the internals, and because underneath the GUI, it's basically the Spark or any of the distributed framework that will be used. Well, then I see that definitely you have worked extensively in this field, and none other than you would be the right person to answer this query, which most of our big data enthusiasts usually have. That is, how to prepare yourself to crack top product-based companies or good companies in data engineering field, and how to successfully work on challenging projects in big data domain. So if you can probably highlight on how to prepare yourself for the interviews and also how to make yourself skilled enough to work on challenging projects.
Yeah. So for this, I would like to talk about a bit more about not on cracking. There are a lot of people actually who feel like you will not able to crack the top big companies because of the technical problems. See, hey, I can understand if somebody says that he is not able to understand DSA. Okay, I'm one of those person. Maybe I don't have a clue regarding the hard problems in lead code. Maybe till medium I can. Okay, so for me, so the idea was always clear for me in the sense like how can a person who will be not that into DSAs like and stuff into very technical thing get a good package or a good company in big data side. So that's when I decided to do to understand more about data, the design side of it. So I for the first 3 or 4 years I worked on my big data side on various projects. So there I try to understand the design, their architecture, how the data is actually being flown. So when I moved into UK, the UK, I think that UK terrain actually most of the companies didn't expect you to be very technical into DSAs, but they want you to be very sound on your designs and your project experiences and how the data like you understand the data lifecycle. So for me, so the important thing was to actually to set a goal which is an achievable goal for me. So to understand design a bit more, to understand to be good in programming as well, but not that high, but I'll say maybe till medium level of questions. So and to get that and to be good in SQL. So if you whatever you lack in the programming, I try to kind of like catch up it with the SQL knowledge that I have. So I try to do that. So here I'll say the three things which are very important here is to understand a distributed processing engine like thoroughly. Without that, it will be a bit difficult. And second one is to understand a programming language or SQL, like at least have that skill, like the SQL plus programming language. But you should be able to feel confident if somebody asks you a question, at least give a logical explanation on that. That much is like expected. Nobody is expecting you to like write a big question or in a 30-minute time to crack a lead code hard question. I don't think so, at least in my experience. So, and on the third way, one is to understand the design. So when I talk about design, it can be two types of design: the technical design, where how do we structure a code, or whenever you write, where do you implement the object-oriented side of it and stuff, and also on the design architecture as well. So how do we scale a system? What all things are there in a system? How does your scheduler works or your orchestrator works? How can it actually handle a lot of load and stuff? So these kind of stuff, things there are a lot of materials available, or you can read some books as well. So nothing is more. So here, like, so you can, so in that way, you can be more in and around data and understand a bit more.
Great. As you put across that, it is important that you work on many different projects in different domains. Like you have got exposure to different domains like retail, banking, and healthcare, all of that. So I think this will give a good exposure on different kinds of tech stacks, and as well as how to solve a problem logically more than like syntactically writing the code. It's enough that you know the logic of that particular code, and if you explain that, that should be more than sufficient. I agree there completely, Didhin. Yeah, having understood that from you, I would probably like if you could give us an overview of how a data engineering interview process looks like at a high level, and probably if you could highlight about the different rounds that you had to face in Expedia as well.
Yeah, so for across my career, actually, it's just been very different for me. Like sometimes it has been purely technical, sometimes it's just a manager around talk about just designs, but for me, the most comprehensive, the most proper interview process that I've been through was for Expedia. So for Expedia, in UK, I had around 4 rounds of interviews, excluding the HR part. So for me, the beginning was a hiring manager round where we talked about the team, the aspirations, what he should he should be expecting from me, what I can get back from the company, what are my chances of working, you know, and stuff. So this and the tech stack that I'll be a bit of the tech stack, not the in details, but in all the tech stack that I'll be working in. So it was pretty good. So from there, you have to be shortlisted. The hiring manager has to shortlist you. But from then, you have a 3-round interview process. So the first round will be a technical interview. So it will be a 1-hour interview where it will be divided into an SQL part and a programming part. So they asked an okay question in SQL, which is pretty doable. And in programming as well, it was not that very difficult. It was an okay question, not into very big DSS things or anything. But he wanted me to explain the object-oriented side of it. So how do we actually write a proper query so that it can be scaled or it can be expanded in the future? So that kind of things, a bit on abstract classes, a bit on the classes and structures and stuff. So that is there. And after that, the second round was a design interview. It was again a 1-hour interview, which we completely talked about the design. So we talked about the design architecture of the companies that I have worked in. How do they scale? What was the bottlenecks and stuff? And then the interviewer explained to me their architecture. So we had a fruitful conversation. So I think I was expected to ask some good questions on that side, rather than just listening to it. So it was good. So we had a good conversation, and after that, she asked for a last 20 minutes. She asked me about a design problem. So she asked me to properly design a real-time scenario. It was actually a real-time scenario, so near real-time NRT pattern. So she asked me to design it and structure it and all, and a bit of modeling as well. So that was my design interview. And on the last, which was behavioral. So it was completely behavioral on the way of working, the work culture. How do you get along with your teammates? Your problem solving ability, how do you accept failure, these kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, that was an extensive explanation on the interview process. Thanks for that, Didhin. And finally, I would like to know, so there are a lot of data enthusiasts who are looking to apply for job opportunities internationally as well. What would your suggestion be for them, especially for the ones who are looking for kind of sponsored data engineering jobs in UK?
So for me, I'll say the first thing that I have to say is you have to set your goals. So here, the thing is, there are a lot of different types of data engineering jobs here. You can see the people are looking for people who understand migration, or maybe looking for a proper data engineer or a cloud data engineer, which are now a bit different things. So you have to understand there are opportunities on all these verticals. So you have to set your goals in either one of these, or if you are good enough, you can go for all this thing. But for a beginner, I'll say maybe set a goal on either one of these, and try to do. For me, the first thing that I will say is try to get a bit more project experience, because there will be good companies, like the high level, FANG level companies, who will just select you on your programming skills and your technical abilities only. But for the other companies, the mid-tier companies, so they expect a bit of your project experience as well. So you should be able to maybe do an internal switch into data, or get some project experience, or should be good enough to take the systems which they are currently working on and understand the data side of it, because they will be actually expecting you to understand how the data works in your environment, the volume of data that you're working on. So if your resume has that part, the volume of data that you've been working on, and the different things, database things or migration things which you have done, it will give you a bit of an edge actually. And the other thing for me is to get a good connection, like good network in LinkedIn. Try to get referrals. Maybe talk to people. People are lot of people are actually welcoming. So they are welcoming for towards a conversation. If you want to have a conversation, just try to reach out to them. Tell them that you are looking for a conversation or looking for some guidance. Most of the people will be ready to help actually. So you just reach out to as many as possible, like recruiters or the people that are working there, and get referrals. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Didhin. It was a pleasure talking to you. And a lot of our audience will be benefiting from the knowledge and the information that you have shared across in the session today. Also, huge congratulations on your recent switch to the Expedia Groups and wishing you loads of success in your future endeavors. Thank you so much. If you found the session insightful and informative, do hit on the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such interesting conversations with Big Data Expert. Thank you so much.